As the Israel-Hamas war rages on, another round of an attempt at a ceasefire is in the works. Hello, I'm Adrienne Batra. With me are Warren Kinsella and Brian Lilley. So, Warren, we know that there is a proposal for a three-tiered ceasefire. And in that negotiation, Israel, from day one, has been demanding that the hostages that Hamas took on October 7th need to be released. There's 40 of them that, according to the criteria that Israel has given, has said, and Hamas has turned around and said, we can't meet that 40-person target because we don't know where they are. We don't know if they're even alive. We know that Hamas is a terrorist group, and they're liars, and they're the worst people on the planet. So what is really going on here?
Well, this is a big story around the world. I'm outside Canada right now, as you can see. And, this is the thing that we'd all feared. This is the thing that, none of us wanted to say out loud, was the likelihood of those babies and children and elderly people, the people in the so-called humanitarian category, were still alive.
Right.
And now Hamas is indicating they cannot find them, and they're not even sure if they're alive. And the Israelis are now openly saying that they believe that these 40 hostages may in fact be dead, which is the worst possible news for the families and for Israel and for the world, frankly. It was the thing that we most wanted to avoid. When these monsters took babies and children from their families and the elderly, it was beyond the pale. But to consider even for a moment that those people are gone makes it even worse. What is the reaction going to be to that in Israel? All of us, all three of us, have been talking to people in Israel and the Middle East on a regular basis for our newspaper. The driving political force in the state of Israel is the hostage families. They really dominate the discourse of what's taking place in Israel, and how they react to this news is what I'm waiting for, because I suspect, I don't know, the reaction will be in Israel rage, it'll be fury, and it'll be go in and just wipe out what is left of Hamas, because they are monsters and do not deserve another day on this earth.
When you and I were there most recently, Brian, when we visited Israel for coverage for the Toronto Sun,
yeah,
that was certainly at the forefront. We went to Hostage Square in Tel Aviv. We met with hostage families of some of the hostages. So what Israel is saying is release the women, the sick, and the elderly men. And now Hamas is saying, sorry, we don't have that. I'm wondering we never should take Hamas at their word for anything, but now they're turning around and saying, well, we can't find them because Israel keeps attacking, but we know that Israel does not attack where there's potentially hostages being held. So reaction to this, and under the cloud of an Iranian attack in the offing.
So as far as Hamas saying they don't know where people are, they're unsure, this is an organization, keep that fact in mind, because this is an organization that as soon as Israel launches an attack anywhere, Hamas has a precise number of how many people were killed, how many people were injured, how many were women, how many were children. But yet they don't know where the hostages that they've had for the last 6 months are. My guess is because many of them are dead. And you're right, we met with hostage families. Everyone we spoke to talked to us about the hostages. They had the dog tags on, they had the T-shirts on, the bracelets. And I remember you, myself, Terry Glavin, Rob Roberts from the National Post, we were all talking about the tension between eliminating Hamas and bringing the hostages home. Did some people want to leave Hamas alone if they could get back the hostages? There was a bit of that undercurrent of debate going on. If these hostages are dead, that undercurrent goes away, and there will be no one holding the leash to the Netanyahu government saying, no, don't do this. You could kill the hostages. I don't think that most of them are alive. I think that they are, long ago dead at the hands of Hamas. And if there are any of the young women left, given what's been happening to those young women, there is no way that Hamas will ever release them. They will
That's
kill
right.
them before they release them if things start to go bad for Hamas. So, I think all bets are off on what Israel does there. You're right about Iran starting to make threatening noises. Perhaps Qatar, which helps fund all of this nonsense, can talk to Iran. Perhaps they can talk to Hamas and smarten things up. Do want to point out that in the middle of all this, Israel just normalized relations with a majority Muslim country. I believe the biggest majority Muslim country in the world, Indonesia, in the middle of all this. And talks are still going on with Saudi Arabia. So, there's hope from some areas, but the cancer that is the Islamic Republic of Iran and Qatar continue to cause real problems. Everything that we're talking about now is because of those two cancerous regimes.
Warren, this is really a big focal point right now. So as these ceasefire negotiations are ongoing, this threat from Iran because of an Israeli attack in Damascus, which took out some of Iran's worst actors, shall we say, things that we would applaud, frankly, and say, good, starting to, cut off the heads of the snakes. But the problem is so many more sprout up because there's thousands of them that can take the place of the ones that were taken out. So the threat from Iran is very real. It's a clear and present danger. The United States, it would have appeared last week that they were softening on support for Israel, but suddenly that support has been reinvigorated with this threat from Iran. In terms of just how this geopolitical issue is playing out, how do you see this unfolding?
Well, you've identified and Brian's identified the Wizards of Oz, the ones behind the curtain, causing all the trouble in our streets, the horrible things that we're seeing on our computer screens, all of the destabilization of Western democracies, in my view, and I've been writing about this, all of us have been, it is Iran and Qatar. But they represent different threats. Iran is now openly saying that they are going to respond to the attack on some of their leadership. And the United States and Israel have accepted as an inevitability there is going to be some kind of military or terrorist attack by Iran against Israel in the next few days. So that is how I think Iran is going to go. With respect to Qatar, for our newspaper, I interviewed some lawyers just last week about the degree of Qatar's involvement in the educational institutions, just alone in the United States and Canada. At Carnegie Mellon University in Philadelphia, Qatar has pumped $800 million US into Carnegie Mellon University at a time that anti-Semitism on that campus has exploded. So I think, it's kind of like the old IRA and the Sinn Féin division. Sinn Féin was political and the IRA was military. That is how I think this is breaking down. Iran is the military terrorist response, the front line, and the propaganda and the agitation and the destabilization, that's coming from Qatar. That's what I think we can see coming over the next few months and the next few days.
Brian, last word to you. And if an attack is imminent, securities agencies, intelligence will hopefully have their enough information that they can respond appropriately. But what if no attack comes? What if it's just the ongoing threats, saber rattling?
Well, Israel doesn't believe it's saber rattling. For the past couple of days, they've been doing GPS location jamming over Jerusalem, over Tel Aviv, and that may just sound like a military tactic. But think about your daily life. Think about using your GPS to get around in your car, to look for directions when you're walking somewhere on your phone. Those things aren't working right now. The ability to use your GPS location while ordering something on a mobile app, all those things are being messed up. That may seem like small potatoes, but Israel is interfering in the daily normal activities of its citizens in order to protect it, because they believe that some of these strikes would be coming in by munitions that use GPS location tracking software and in technology to hit their targets, that they will be precise strikes. So they're taking it very seriously. The United States is obviously taking it seriously, and their warning might get Tehran to back down. The United States, I don't think, has responded properly to the Houthis, who are Iran's proxies in Yemen and have been attacking shipping lanes in the Red Sea, in the not the Mediterranean, sorry, in the Red Sea and in the Gulf. So, you know, they've struck back a little bit. I think if Iran strikes, the United States is going to have to strike back very hard.
Well,
Absolutely.
for those of us with any moral clarity on this issue, our thoughts are with the hostage families, and we hope that some of them are returned safely home. Well, let us know what you think in the comments below, and like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and go to the TorontoSun.com. You're going to find commentary and coverage there you will not find anywhere else.